Hi, this is Thomas and welcome to another episode of iCollect. And in today's episode, we are featuring a collector who has been collecting vintage Peranakan Kebaya for a very long time. Let's go and meet the collector.
Hi, I'm Raymond Wong and I collect vintage Kebayas.
Hi Raymond, thanks for bringing out your precious collection of vintage Kebaya to share with us. Now, I see that you have brought out only a small fraction of your collection, right?
Yeah, this is only like some of my Kebayas.
Okay.
And I took out some of the more historically significant pieces so that you can actually appreciate the evolution of Kebayas.
I see. And do you have a lot?
I have a few hundred pieces.
That's a lot already.
And it's a collection over a period of like maybe 17, 18 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to collect them? And what kind of challenge you find in collecting? And in fact, how did you get started?
Initially, we had some Peranakan nonias bringing vintage Kebayas to sell. And we do have some young Singaporeans who are interested in vintage Kebayas. So we started out from there. Later on, I started to fall in love with the embroideries in the Kebaya, and I wanted to understand how the embroideries are made. So I started collecting more and more and actually use them as my case study to study further how the embroideries are made.
I see. Perhaps I'll let you tell us the significance of these selected ones.
Okay. This batch of Kebayas, which are all white, are all made between the 1910 to the 1930s.
Oh, that's wow.
And some people in Singapore, they always have the misconception that wearing all white is a mourning dress, which is not exactly true, because one of the earlier people who wear Kebayas were the nonias in Indonesia.
I see.
And under the Dutch colonial back then, they would be actually wearing Kebayas that is all white, like the Dutch women, and to emulate themselves like socialites, they would actually include a lot of European laces to embellish the Kebayas like the European women.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can see from this piece, there are quite a lot of European lace, and the laces in the past were rather interesting because they would have designs of animals like butterflies, some would have ballerinas. And some Peranakans who wants to embellish the Kebayas further would actually include more designs. Like this one over here, you can see the phoenix. So you can see at that stage, they were trying to combine Chinese and European context into the dress itself.
And this is like more than 100 years old.
Yeah, this most probably would be in the 1920s. And the design here is rather interesting. Could you guess what is the design up there?
Oh, that looks like is it pineapple?
Yeah, pineapples.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, pineapples. Pineapples are one of the produce that got Peranakan Chinese rich in Southeast Asia. Yeah, and these fruits were all from South America. So this piece most probably could be done for Chinese New Year. Ong Lai, right? Which is pineapples, means welcoming in.
Yes.
Yeah, and how can a white Kebaya with all decorated with pineapples be considered like a mourning dress? It's not really the case. Yeah. And I was also told by some Europeans that in the early days, when they have tropical fruits in a European home, like in England, and when you have them on your table, it's a sign of welcoming your guests with very special fruits that is not in this region. Lastly would be this one over here for this batch, which I say would be around 1930s, because what happens is as more and more nonias were married out of Indonesia to Singapore, Malacca, Penang, or even to Phuket, you notice that they are the ones that are complaining Kebayas white looks like a mourning dress.
I see. So they add more.
So they start
colours.
to add colours onto the all lacy like kind of Kebayas. So like this one's over here, you can see they actually add additional embroidery colours onto the lace to embellish it further. So from here you can see from the 1910 to the 1930s, the colour scheme seems to shift from all white to some colours.
I see.
Yeah.
Remember, I do see the evolution from the one that we just talked about, which is the white lace. It started to have a bit of a colour now. Then, what about this lot? I see that they are more colourful already.
Yeah, these ones here are mostly in the 1940s to the 1950s, where the Kebayas started to become more colourful. In the early days, the Kebayas were mostly tailored by the girls themselves and they would embroider from home. So some of the designs that they do would have some meticulous designs that is often conversational. Yeah. So for example, like this piece over here, which is
let's take a look.
royal blue.
Beautiful, beautiful
Yes,
blue.
you can see a lady in samfu. This was sold to me by a lady who felt that I could actually appreciate and keep her kebaya for the future. She just wanted me to call her by the surname Mrs. Sakis.
I see. Sakis.
Yes, Sakis.
Okay.
I'm not too sure whether she's related to the
Sakis family.
to the Sakis family or not. But she was telling me that the lady in blonde, that's her in the younger days.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Anyway, this was a commission piece. She didn't do it herself.
I see.
But the design that she wanted there was basically herself in samfu with her amache, which she fondly remembers. So you can see from here, kebaya sometimes would include memories that they want to have on their clothes.
Indeed, yes.
And this one over here is rather interesting because when I first got the kebaya, it came with a matching beaded bag.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you look at this kebaya, you can see some of the nonias would go to the point of matching their kebayas and its embroideries to the things that they carry, like this beaded bag over here. You can see that the nonia is dressed prim and proper,
Correct.
matched on point.
The flower just popped.
Yes. This one over here is rather interesting. The embroideries are simple. So
Indeed, yes.
Yes, are simply embroidered at the trims, which you call kebaya biku. And this would be known as the shopping wear kind of kebayas that they will wear out in the daytime. Because kebayas with no embroideries in the early days would be meant for homeware or very little. But in this case, this has slightly more embroideries. Why I brought this out, even though it's less embroideries, is because I used to hear a lot of customers telling me stories that my mom used to do or my grandmother used to do the embroideries by hand. But most of us know that these embroideries here are all done using the Singer sewing machine where you treadle with the leg in your hand. But in this piece, it's a good example where the embroideries are actually done by hand. And the embroideries are protruding and it's 3D.
Yes.
With bullion knots in the center, with needle lace, kind of crewel embroidery that makes the flowers 3D.
Yes.
So this is a very good example where when we hear people say, oh, they do by hand in the past, there is. This is a good example of...
This will pop even more than just on the previous piece, right?
Yeah, but
this is 3D.
This was more homeware.
Yes.
Then this piece over here, though it's not as old, but it's done by one of the very famous kebaya maker that I respect her very much. She's Auntie Lim Swee Kim from Penang. Yeah. So before she passed away, she told me that I want you to own a kebaya that you can remember me.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah. So when I was in Penang, a year after she passed away, her daughter said, choose one. Mom said you must take one. But I bought instead because it's not nice after a year she died.
So when was this made, you think?
I don't know when was this made, but according to Auntie Kim's workers, this was the last piece that she made. And according to the worker, it was a lady born in the year of the tiger commissioning this kebaya. And when the husband came and saw the kebaya, and she wearing this, the husband was saying, we'll pay for this, but we are not getting this kebaya. Which I was wondering, the kebaya, the cats looks like kittens, so cute. But why do you want to give it up? Then according to the husband, she's born in the year of the tiger and she's wearing a tiger. It's going to make her look very fierce. So the husband doesn't want it at all. But one thing interesting is this could be really her last piece that she made.
Wow.
Because if you look at the sides of the embroidery, it's incomplete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which friends has been telling me, said, hey, send it back and get her daughter to finish it up for you.
No. I think you
but
should.
I was thinking, why not just leave it as it is? Because it's a sign that this is really Auntie Kim's swan song piece.
Yes. It's like
before she died.
It's a legacy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can see that embroideries are so interesting that it really tells a story from the pieces there actually.
Amazing. So with Raymond, I now this set that we place on the table, right? I can see that it's very different now. They are colourful, a lot of interesting fabric. Are they at a later period?
Yeah,
sort of,
because while they are still having that fashion of wearing the kebayas that we have shown you previously, what happens is the younger generation of the era in between the 1950s to the 1970s, the taste for embroidery seems to evolve and shift, where they prefer lesser embroideries on the clothes. But interestingly enough, they actually prefer to use the most modern fabrics imported from Europe to make the kebayas. Like these two pieces you can see from here, one of them is checkered, one of them is stripes, and you can see the weaving of the fabric is so intricate.
Yes. In fact, I actually do see, like, I can almost imagine this on the Chinese qipao also, the kind of fabric.
Because this kind of fabrics were popular of that era, where some people like to use this to make modern qipao to wear in that time. Yeah. Some may appear in polka dots, while some may appear in woven textiles like this, where this looks like an ikat fabric.
Yes.
The ikat or songket fabric that Malays usually like.
Yes.
But these are not made in Malaysia or Southeast Asia, but these were all European imports.
Okay. And what about this one?
This one over here is actually another style where back then using machine chemical lace to make kebayas was the trend. You may have seen some movies where Hong Kong actresses would be wearing kebayas, which is often lacy with trims at the sides. This is the style. So there are kebayas like Chen Baozhu in the 1970s. She would wear this kind of kebayas in the movie that she acted back then. This piece over here is a 1970s piece. Why I'm so sure is because 1970s is the time where optical fashion was the main trend, where psychedelic designs were popular. So in this case, this kebaya the designs were mainly all white dots from afar. You can't see or make out a design or anything, but back then they loved to do kebayas with lots of dots and eyelets, where you do not know what is it until you go a step closer to look at and see what's the design.
Yes, it's like leaves, right?
Yeah, so if you have a further look, closer look, you notice that the designs are all connecting leaves here and
the
there.
white dots does make the whole thing pop up. Yes,
so it's like Yayoi Kusama's exhibition where they have all the polka dots all around and it plays with your eyes. Yeah, so this is the kind of kebaya that it plays with your vision and it makes you want to have a second look. And it's different from the conventional kebayas that we know of.
It's a lot of visual interest over here.
Yes, the visual interest is the one that makes it really, really very interesting.
Raymond, finally I see this last piece that you brought out. You know, it's very different from the rest that you showed earlier.
Yeah.
You know, this is like batik.
Correct. This is actually my auntie's kebaya in the 70s. So you can see from here that back then, the Nonias, as time passed, they are not really much into embroideries. It gets lesser and lesser. So back then they were already having the trend of using modern fabrics like batiks to make modern kebayas.
And it's like this short sleeve.
Yeah, this is a short sleeve piece. And one thing rather interesting is they start to have very Western kind of touch to it by having the sash collar over here. Yeah, and a panel of cloth which are often nicely pleated. So you can see the pleats over here.
Yes, yes.
So this was a style that you can see it by the 70s. Women wants to wear kebayas that were convenient, easy to wear. And that's why you can see the buttons
These
over
called
here.
buttons already, yes.
You can see that this has some very similar references to our SQ uniform also. The Singapore girl.
The sarong kebaya.
Yeah, it was that era that this style was fashionable in the 70s.
We've come to the end of today's episode. We hope you enjoy watching it. We learned so much from Raymond about the evolution of the kebayas. And in fact, the kebaya is so culturally and historically important that Singapore and 4 other nations have nominated the kebaya for UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list. Now, if you liked today's episode, do give us a like and share the video and subscribe to iCollect. Now, if you are a collector yourself and you would like us to feature your collection, please get in touch with us via this email address. To the next episode, this is Thomas signing out. Bye-bye.